Alright, for converting mass to moles and moles to mass, a couple things we have to do. First thing we have to do is actually define a couple ideas. One is molar mass. For molar mass, what we're going to do, molar mass is going to be equal to atomic mass. The atomic mass that you find in the periodic table. And like I said, I borrowed this periodic table, and all of these numbers down here, like this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, that guy, let's say cobalt. For cobalt, it was 58.93. For cobalt, it was 58.93. It's going to be grams per mole. And that's going to be the molar mass for cobalt. And we can pull that right off of the atomic mass from the periodic table because it's all based off of carbon-12. The AMUs that we talked about early on, long time ago already, it was all based off of carbon-12. So, since moles are based off of carbon-12 and atomic mass is based off of carbon-12, we can use both of them in the conversions that we need. Now, every element has a specific molar mass, and all of them are listed here. The ones down here, they're kind of, these elements you get into the 100s, the high 100, or not the high 100s, but like 110, 18 through 118. These are those experimental ones that, like, there's some elements that they've only ever gotten like 4 or 5 atoms of ever. But they were able to actually do some work with them. But for our purposes, molar mass is going to be the atomic mass, and it's going to be in grams per mole. So we have to know that because this is the molar mass is actually going to be used as a conversion. Now, here's an example. And since I have cobalt up here, we'll say we have, let's say, 2.15, since that's today's date, moles of cobalt. How many grams of cobalt do we have? Now, I kept on saying, and everyone still fights me, but don't fight me on this. The path of least resistance is to set up the unit analysis of this. Because if you're trying to remember what you got to multiply by or divide by, you're gonna turn your brain into knots trying to do this. You're just gonna twist everything around. You're not gonna know what's gonna be what. But if you take the time to just kind of do this, and what are we starting with? We're starting with moles. So I'm going to put moles up here, and I want to end up with grams. So I need moles per gram. But instead of moles per gram, since I want to divide out the moles, I'm going to divide out the moles this way, and I'm going to have grams up top. So this conversion right here is your molar mass. This is where molar mass would end up. And the nice thing is, for cobalt, it's going to be 1 mole, and that's for anything. It's always 1 mole. When it was particles, it was 1 mole was equal to 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd particles of whatever the particles were. For molar mass, it's 1 mole is equal to, in this case, we have cobalt is 58.93 grams. And the value we're starting with is 2.15. So now, instead of trying to remember or trying to think in your head, what am I going to have to multiply by or what am I going to have to divide by? take a look at what you got. We got two numbers in the top. Remember, these are all fractions. If I have numbers in the top, do I multiply or divide them? You multiply them. So numbers in the top, you multiply across. So I'm going to take this guy. I'm going to multiply it 2.15. Then I'm going to multiply it by 58.93. And I get 126.6995. And although we do want to place a lot of emphasis on significant figures and all that, for this, let's just worry about going to two decimal places. So we have kind of a decent number out of this. So with if we go to two decimal places, I need the 6 and the 9. What's that 9 going to do to this 9? Round it up to 10, which means I got to round that to a 7. So I get 126.70 grams. So when we have that 2.15 moles of cobalt, all we do is we set up the unit analysis. The moles are going to divide out. I'm going to be left with grams. We're going to be good to go. And we have to use this idea of molar mass, which is just the atomic mass. Because what are they all based off of? Which carbon?
12.
Carbon 12. Carbon 12 is your friend on this guy. Now, let's do another example. We'll do another example with cobalt, just because we're dealing with cobalt. You have 1.14 grams of cobalt. I hope that's cobalt. Yeah, it's cobalt.
It's okay.
It's early. How many moles of cobalt do you have? So we're starting with that 1.14, and so we're starting with grams. So if we start here, we're going to put grams here, and since I don't want grams, I got to convert it from grams, and I want to end up in moles, so I need grams to moles. And if you looked at the chart says if we have mass is going to be a one-stepper to moles. And you have to use molar mass in order to get there. And so that's our chart. The picture's in the room, but the picture's not going to get on the video. So I just kind of drew that part of the picture. So we have to use molar mass. So I know I have 1.14 grams. And we know what the molar mass is. The molar mass is 58.93 grams per mole. So there's 1 mole. Mole always gets 1. And then the grams is going to be the molar mass, which is 58.93. Now, what happens to the grams in the unit analysis? They divide out, and I'm left with moles. So let's actually do the math. So 1.14 divided by 58.93 and I end up with 0.019345 moles. And if I want to go to scientific notation, I'll move that decimal place over 2 places, 1.9, and if I want to go to 2 decimal places, 2 decimal places would be the 9.3. What does the 4 do to the 3? Nothing. Times 10. How many places did I move? 10 to the negative 2 moles. So that negative 2 tells me I have a small amount of moles in that case. So, to kind of sum this up, if it's mass to moles, what you're going to get is the conversion factor is going to be in grams, and then it's going to go grams to moles. If you're going to go moles to mass, it's going to be moles, and then it's going to be moles to grams. So those are your unit analyses for those, or analyses, or whatever it is. Now, here's the big catch. The big catch is this. Mass is in grams. So if you're in kilograms, or if you're in milligrams, you have to convert that to grams. So you may have to convert to grams first. Because molar mass is in grams. And even better yet, we'll put this. Molar mass is in grams. So since molar mass is in grams, your grams have to be in grams. So your mass has to be in grams. That's a better way of saying it. Which means that if you have kilograms, you have to convert kilograms to grams. So you're going to have to actually do that step first in order to get it into grams, and then move it forward from there.